This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. The other 10 or so members of the Sea tribe also changed their expressions, as if they had recognized this person's origin. They all retreated in horror, and one of the cultivators trembled and said, "Blood Snake, you're a class member of the Sea race, a powerhouse of the Blood Snake race." The marine race expert flicked out a black tongue. His eyes were filled with coldness and contempt as he mocked, "Ignorant fool, it's too late to know now." The flames on his body flashed, and an extremely gorgeous scarlet light streaked across the sky.
Ah!
Bang! The sea toad expert exploded like a flame, turning into countless flames that scattered in all directions before he was burned to ashes. The rest of the people were so scared that they stepped back and became extremely vigilant. Humph! The young man from the Blood Snake clan snorted coldly. His face returned to human form, revealing a ferocious expression. "Shui Xian, what a beautiful girl. You are mine." He no longer paid attention to the crowd. He immediately turned into a red light and chased in the direction of the market. The remaining members of the Sea clan looked as if they had just survived a disaster. Their faces turned pale, and they quickly left this troublesome place. Shui Xian's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, she arrived at the city square. Her eyes kept looking around, as if she was trying to find a direction. She was extremely beautiful. The moment she appeared, she immediately attracted the attention of the crowd, causing a commotion. "It's over there." She suddenly shouted and disappeared from where she was. Feiyang had just landed as well. He turned around and disappeared as well, following them. The faces of the Sea clan members in the surroundings changed slightly. When the two of them had used their escape techniques, the power that had leaked out had made them all extremely frightened. Fortunately, he didn't have any ideas about that girl. The oceanic species experts who had such thoughts earlier broke out in cold sweat. They rejoiced in their hearts. Shui Xian appeared at the periphery of the group and flew up into the air. She immediately saw a beautiful scene. Her cold face was stunned and her thin lips were slightly open in shock. In the crowd, the cauldron of mountain and river shot out tens of thousands of rays of light. The mountains and rivers carved on it seemed to be flowing, and the chirping of birds and the fragrance of flowers spread out. It was as if it was a real world. A white-robed young man was dancing gracefully in front of the flowers and birds. Golden runes flew out from his graceful posture, like butterflies flying into the cauldron to pick the flowers. The light shone on his slightly young face. His features were well defined, and his eyebrows were sharp. His fair face was solemn, and his water-like eyes were so deep that one couldn't see the bottom. If one looked carefully, one would see a vast sky and a vast sea, like the firmament and universe.
Ah!
Shui Xian could not help but be slightly shocked. Her blank face showed a trace of surprise, and a small emotion rippled in her heart. The golden light condensed between his fingers and each of his moves was peerless. Shui Xian stared at the figure that was shuttling through the flowers and suddenly forgot the purpose of her visit. She was so obsessed with it. Yunxiao was using the Heaven Sutra illusionary waves technique, one of his best refining techniques. After his strength was restored to the level of a martial sovereign of the 9 heavens, he was even more skillful in using it, and every move was textbook-like. This set of incantation seals paid particular attention to the unconstrained style, like an illusion or a dream, the incantation seals following the heart, refining the artifact with the heart. The layman was watching the show, while Zhao Wenjian, an expert, was looking at the skill. At this moment, his heart could not be described as shocked. It had reached an indescribable level. Yunxiao's every move was as smooth as floating clouds and flowing water, in accordance with the heavenly Tao. Zhao Wenjian could feel an inexplicable force rippling out of each seal, stirring his soul power and making his blood boil. If you hear it in the morning, you can die in the evening. Tears welled up in his eyes, and he was touched by the scene in front of him. It was the Tao that every alchemist had been pursuing for a long time, and it was now in front of him. Bang! The whole refining process was extremely short. When Yunxiao's last incantation seal landed on the cauldron of mountain and river, a loud bang rang out and immediately pulled everyone's mind back from the shock. A ray of light shot out from the cauldron and into the sky. With a flash between Yunxiao's eyebrows, the cauldron of mountain and river retracted all its light. It spun and shrank, finally returning to his right hand. Everyone swallowed their saliva and raised their heads to look at the sky. The dazzling light stimulated everyone's eyes, and most of them had already seen clearly that the light was a golden saber. It gathered the power of wind and cloud in the sky and then fell rapidly. The air was split open with a hoo-chi sound, and a golden light fell, stabbing into the ground, all the way to the hilt. There was not a single sound in the entire market, it was strangely quiet. The stall owner's eyes fell on the hilt of the saber, and his eyes gradually lit up. His body trembled with excitement as he said, This saber is for me? Yes. Yunxiao nodded and said, The purple snow coral is mine now, right? The stall owner suddenly swallowed his saliva and hurriedly picked up the purple snow coral. He handed it over with both hands and respectfully said, Master. Yunxiao smiled and put away the coral. Zhao Wenjuan also came back to his senses from the shock. He gave Yunxiao a complicated look, and then his eyes fell on the coral, unable to calm down for a long time. The transparent Sea Tribe member did not say a word, not only because he could not offer anything better than a peak 8th tier mystic artifact, but also because Yunxiao was an alchemist, who had a very high status among the Sea Tribe and was admired by tens of thousands of people. The stall owner held the hilt of the knife with both hands and pulled it out with excitement. A cold light broke through the ground, and the sharp chi on the saber broke through the air, scaring the person in front of him to dodge hurriedly. The stall owner fiddled with the knife and was so excited that he could not put it down while he kept thanking Yunxiao. Young Master Yunxiao's tool refining skills are marvelous, Zhao Wenjuan said. Wenjuan's horizons have been broadened, and I'm convinced. Even the art of alchemy is divided into too many categories, Yunxiao said with a smile. I'm just focusing on refining artifacts. Zhao Wenjuan was silent. He knew that the other party was being modest. That kind of godly technique was not something that could be explained by focusing on one Tao. It was the understanding of the Tao between heaven and earth. It was strong and had been tempered. He was also extremely puzzled. How could such a young man have such amazing skills? With his divine sense, he could also be 100% sure that the person in front of him was not possessed by an expert, but his original body. Elder Yan also came forward. Young Master Yun, you've shown me a godly skill. I've been enlightened. Congratulations on obtaining the purple snow coral, young Master Yun. Mr. Wenjuan, Yunxiao said, I don't have anything I can use to trade with you. I'd better go back and refine a few items before I go shopping. Zhao Wenjuan also knew that he wanted to study the purple snow coral. He smiled and said, That's good. Young Master Yunxiao can refine a 9th tier profound armament to participate in the treasure exhibition in 10 days. There will definitely be something that young Master will be interested in. You can't leave. Yunxiao was about to leave when a crisp voice suddenly came from behind him. Yunxiao turned around. In the gradually dispersing crowd, Shui appeared in front of everyone in her white embroidered dress. Her eyes, which had always been as calm as an ancient well, were rippling, and she looked very nervous. Due to Shui Xian's appearance, her unparalleled beauty also attracted everyone's attention. They all stopped and were unwilling to leave, revealing a look of surprise. Is there something? Yunxiao could see her nervous look, and he did not find it funny. You're the one I'm looking for, Shui Xian said, grabbing the corner of her clothes. The power of the fire just now was very strong. I'm just a famous alchemist, Yunxiao said with a smile. Every alchemist can control some powerful flames. Mr. Wenjuan's fire god art might not be weaker than mine. Shui Xian shook her head and said seriously, I've seen Mr. Wenjuan's fire before, it's still far from yours. After so many years, you're the only one who can trigger a reaction from my body. The inner body? What do you mean? Yunxiao asked, puzzled. What do you mean, Princess Shui Xian? Miss Shui Xian, don't be deceived by this person. Shui Xian was about to answer when a shout suddenly came from the sky. A pale-faced man came down from the sky, staring at Yunxiao with a venomous look in his eyes, like a venomous snake that was about to hurt someone at any time. It was the man from the blood snake tribe. He said sarcastically with a cold expression, "Some people don't have much ability and only know how to deceive little girls." He gave Yunxiao a look and was taken aback. Puny human? He couldn't help but burst out laughing. He laughed so hard that he was swaying from side to side. I'm dying of laughter. Miss Shui Xian, the person you're looking for, could it be this lowly human? A cold look flashed across Yunxiao's face as he said, "It's human. Please remove the words lowly and a lowly thought." Pa. Lowly is lowly, the blood snake tribe man said sarcastically. You're afraid of people talking about it? Shui Xian furrowed her brows. She did not know why, but she suddenly felt that this man was especially annoying. She hated him so much that she wanted to kill him. She had never felt this way before. Fei Ming's lips also curled into a faint smile. He knew that the blood snake tribe man was done for when he saw his death-seeking expression. The blood snake tribesman walked in front of Shui Xian and shouted, "Miss Shui Xian, I am from the Class C clan, the genius of the blood snake clan. No one in the 4 seas who can control fire is stronger than me. I must be the person you are looking for. Please believe in my judgment," he said confidently. Only I, who is powerful, can protect you well. Shui Xian's face was getting uglier and uglier, and the disgust in her heart was slowly building up, ready to explode at any time. Fei Ming could not help but mock, "Really? Lord Blood Snake, I just saw that the flames that the human used were also very powerful. If you want to prove yourself, shouldn't you do something?" A bright gleam flashed across the blood snake tribe man's face, and then he turned and walked toward Yunxiao with a look of understanding. Yunxiao looked at Fei Ming coldly and gave him the middle finger in disdain. The man from the blood snake tribe stared at Yunxiao contemptuously and said coldly, "I don't care who you are. I'll give you 3 seconds to disappear from my sight. Otherwise, you won't be able to bear the consequences." Yunxiao suddenly felt that he did not know what to say. He had always been eloquent, but he did not expect that there would be a time when he could use sign language. "Mr. Wenjian, did the Xiankong Islands rules state that we are not allowed to kill this stupid bird?" he asked. Zhao Wenjian revealed a smile. "This is a little troublesome. Fighting is indeed not allowed in the city square." The blood snake tribe man said coldly, "You want to use the rules to save your life? I don't believe that you'll stay in the market city for the rest of your life. As long as you take 1 step away, you'll die." Zhao Wenjian thought for a while and said, "The rules of Xiankong Island state that no one is allowed to cause trouble or fight in the market. However, both of you are fire-type sacred arts cultivators. How about this? The 2 of you will compete in your fire-type sacred arts. If you accidentally kill or injure someone, then there's nothing we can do." "Good. This is a brilliant plan." The blood snake tribe man laughed. "Miss Shui Xian is also looking for a fire-type divine power martial artist. Our blood snake tribe is a natural fire-type expert." His body began to shapeshift, doubling in size. A demonic flame began to burn within his body, and his entire body was enveloped in a blood-red flame. His eyes were cold and vicious. Seeing that there was a show to watch, all the sea tribes gathered around. Many of them recognized the identity of the man from the blood snake tribe and exclaimed in surprise. "Brother Wenjian," Yunxiao said. "Are you sure it's okay to kill by mistake in a competition of fire element divine abilities?" "It's all right," Zhao Wenjian said. Yunxiao nodded, then raised his hand. With a bang, a pale red flame appeared on his index finger, transparent and bright. Zhao Wenjian's pupils constricted. The power of the flame in Yunxiao's hand was beyond his imagination. He had been so shocked by the cauldron of mountain and river that he had not observed it carefully. But now, he found that the flame was no less precious than the cauldron. Shui Xian's eyes also flickered with light. Her gaze immediately focused, and the throbbing in her body became stronger and stronger. She was now 100% sure that Yunxiao was the person she was looking for.
Ah.
This. The man from the blood snake tribe was also a fire element expert, so he could immediately sense that the flame was extremely unusual. His innate magical power began to tremble under the light of the flame. An uncontrollable fear and trembling spread in his heart. The blood snake tribesman's face turned pale. He immediately understood that he had kicked an iron plate. He screamed in fear and immediately jumped up, trying to escape. Firestorm wheels. A cold voice rang out. The small cluster of flame was blown away by a whirlwind on Yunxiao's fingertip, immediately turning into the size of a millstone and shooting out. Bang! The spinning flame caught up to the blood snake tribesman and exploded on his body, causing a dazzling flower to bloom in the air.
Ah.
After a scream of horror, the flames scattered in the air. There was no one inside, only some black powder that was blown away by the wind. The man from the blood snake tribe disappeared from the world forever, leaving no trace behind.
Ah.
The surrounding spectators' mouths were wide open, and they were all stunned. They thought that there would be a good show to watch, but who knew that it would be an instant kill of Ying. Everyone looked at Yunxiao with fear in their eyes. Some people had seen his generosity before, and he was also an alchemist, so many people had made plans in their hearts. But now, no one dared to have any ill intentions. Shui Xian's face turned a little red as she stepped forward and said, "Li Yunxiao, you're the person I'm looking for. I'm 100% sure." "I'm sorry." Yunxiao's eyes narrowed as he snorted. "I'm not interested in being found by you. You're so silly." Shui Xian was stunned for a moment. The people she had been looking for had tried every possible way to show off in front of her, hoping to be chosen by her, but the person who had really been chosen was so disdainful of her. She didn't know what to do all of a sudden. She stomped her feet anxiously and shouted, "Stop." "What?" Yunxiao sneered. "You want to hit me? Killing is forbidden in this city square, and Lord Wenjian is here. Do you want to break the rules?" Cold sweat broke out on Zhao Wenjian's forehead. Within the 4 seas, whose rules dared to control the daughter of the Sea Emperor? He hurriedly cupped his fists. "Young Master Yunxiao, Princess Shui Xian, I suddenly remembered that I have something important to do. I'll take my leave first." He immediately turned into a ray of light and disappeared from the market. Yunxiao was stunned for a moment, and then his face darkened. This Zhao Wenjian was too slippery. Shui Xian's gaze flickered, and there were ripples in her eyes as she walked towards him. "Oh right, I also suddenly remembered that I have something very important to do. I'll take my leave first." A smile appeared at the corner of Yunxiao's mouth. The space around him flickered as he teleported and disappeared from where he was.
Ah.
"Li Yunxiao, you're so annoying." Shui Xian's face was filled with anger. She kept waving her fists and stomping her feet, cursing, "I'll definitely find you and give you a good beating." She didn't know how to scold people, and the only words she would say were, "Beat him up, kill him," and so on. But, Yunxiao had long disappeared, so she could not hear him no matter how much she scolded him. Shui Xian also realized this point and had nowhere to vent her anger. She stared coldly at Feiyang, who was behind her, and said, "Why didn't you stop him from escaping?" "I, princess, didn't say anything about this." A chill ran down Feiyang's spine. He felt Shui Xian's cold gaze, and a bad feeling spread in his heart. Shui Xian said coldly, "Do I need to say that? I did everything I could to find him, and now that I've finally found him, you've escaped. You've committed a capital crime."
Ah.
Feiyang was dumbfounded. He didn't do anything and he was sentenced to death. Shui Xian snorted. "At this moment, Mo Sha is seriously injured. I don't have any guards by my side. Your death sentence will be put on hold for now. You can die in the future." Feiyang felt that he was more wronged than Do Yi, so he lowered his head and didn't dare to say anything. Shui Xian continued, "I'm not in a good mood now. Come with me. Let me beat you up first." You're not allowed to fight back, and you're not allowed to use your elemental energy to block. Fei Ming. The two figures then flew toward the sea. Soon, the shocking sound of waves and Fei Ming's constant wailing could be heard. After Yunxiao teleported away from the market, he did not return to the profound artifact space, for fear that Shui Xian would come to him. There were many residences on the Xiankong Island, and most of them were prepared for the dazzling treasure meet. He simply found a secret room and went into seclusion. At the same time, he set up a barrier in the secret room to isolate himself from any detection. Then, he immediately took out the purple snow coral and examined it. He also knew a thing or two about the purple snow coral. If this fossil was from 500,000 years ago, the power inside should have been lost a lot. But why did it still cause a pulse of power in his body? Yunxiao first examined the surface of the coral, then took out his frost sword and gently cut it open. With a creak, the coral shattered under the sword chi, and a pale yellow light slowly seeped out. It actually dispelled the cold chi of the cold sword, warming up the surroundings. Yunxiao's face changed drastically as he said in horror, "It's indeed the spiritual energy." As soon as the purple snow coral was broken, the spiritual energy directly overflowed, and a fist-sized ball slowly rose. Yunxiao opened his big hand and grabbed at it. The force did not resist, but was squeezed in his hand like a marshmallow. His left hand formed a seal and activated the One Chi of creation. A vortex seemed to have opened up in his palm and directly absorbed the ball of spiritual energy into his arm. It circulated in his body according to his meridians. Then, he sat down cross-legged and began to feel the changes in his body. Nothing happened to the ball of spiritual energy after he circulated it, and it finally entered his dantian. At this moment, something strange happened. The ball of spiritual energy in his body suddenly burst out with a terrifying power and rushed toward the new spiritual energy. The new wave of energy seemed to have sensed something as well. It also generated its own terrifying power and charged forward. Boom! A huge force exploded in Yunxiao's dantian. Yunxiao coughed up a mouthful of blood on the spot, and his face fell. A sharp pain came from his dantian, and the two forces began to compete as if they had minds of their own. If they were allowed to continue wreaking havoc like this, the consequences would very likely cause the dantian to explode and the martial arts to be destroyed. In his horror, Yunxiao hurriedly formed a seal with both hands, trying to suppress the energy. Rays of golden light shot out from his body as he exerted the body refining technique to its strongest and slowly guided it. After Zhao Wenjuan left the city square, he also came to a secret room. It was dark inside, and even the air had a rotten smell, as if it had not been opened for a long time. There was no cultivation space in the secret room, only rows of bookshelves covered in cobwebs. Zhao Wenjuan walked straight to the last row and carefully searched. He flipped through the books that were covered in dust one by one. Finally, his eyes lit up, and he quickly flipped through a large ancient book. After flipping through several hundred pages, he suddenly stopped. Zhao Wenjuan's eyes burst with light. His body suddenly trembled, and his face was filled with shock and disbelief. There was a colorful pattern on the page of the ancient book. Upon closer inspection, it looked exactly like the cauldron of mountain and river. Zhao Wenjuan revealed a look of horror and could not help but read the small words at the side. Cauldron of mountains and rivers, also known as the cauldron that suppresses mountains and rivers. It is the ultimate alchemy cauldron furnace. It contains a realm of space and is a transcendent grade mystic weapon, the Kasaya. It is indeed a supreme grade profound level weapon. Zhao Wenjuan jumped in shock. His entire face turned white. The dust from the impact blew into his face, making him choke and cough violently. It's actually a supreme grade profound level weapon. No wonder the first island master said that it's enough this time. Zhao Wenjuan's heart was filled with mixed feelings. He did not know what to do. After a while, he left the secret room and flew toward the first island master without tidying up the ancient book.